So today is February 15th, 2021, and pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL 30A, paragraph 18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Hubbard's Park Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town website. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately assess the proceedings in real time via Zoom. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website a comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. All right, so do we have someone taking notes? Dave?
We still need to take notes even though we're being recorded?
I think we do.
All right, I got it.
Thank you. All right, so we will open the meeting at 7:05. And did everyone print out the agenda?
I didn't, but I can just look at it online. It's there, right?
All right, that's fine. So we're gonna go right to number 2 because I did not write minutes from the last meeting. And actually, the last meeting we actually had was with the Board of Selectmen that I thought went very well. And I didn't think we had to take notes or anything on that. So, so we'll move to the budget. And I did not print out a new budget expense warrant account off the website, but we haven't spent any money since we last reviewed the budget, which was on December 28th. And at that time, we had approximately, like I said, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but we had approximately $1,400 still in our account. And I have not paid any bills that I can recall in January or February so far. So that number should be pretty accurate to date. So a few things we can decide on is, well, maybe we can decide in a couple months if we want to try to use some of that money to buy more boards and maybe a liner with this year's budget for the ice rink going for next year. So we don't have to take it out of next year's budget, because basically if we don't use up this money, not that I want to frivolously spend it, but if we don't use this money by the end of June, then we turn it back in. So I'm not saying we have to use it all, but I just think we should be proactive and think about things we could use it on.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would have bought the boards had they had them at the time anyway. So I think we should probably just get the boards, and certainly we need to replace the liner. So I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So, and like I said, I don't think it's going to take all of the money. You know, we probably also want to look to see, because the ice rink, we did get a grant through CPA, and I want to say there's like $300 still left in that. So we'd probably want to use up those funds first before going to these funds. But if anyone thinks of anything, let's say before the next meeting or next couple of meetings, of things you think we really need for the playground or the parks in general, then let us know. And we do have a little bit of room to buy some things here. So that's always nice. Usually we're trying to think of what we don't have to spend, so we can open up the park and have enough money to do that. Because it does take about $300 or $400 to get the park up and running, which we'll want to do by June 1st too. So, but if you guys think of anything that you think we could use, then we could do that. We do have a little, like I said, wiggle room there. I am going to skip to old and new business before going to the playground, because I think the playground is going to take a bit of our time. We got 2 field requests from Katie Young. One for the annual Hubbardson Field Day Parade. Well, it's not Field Day. I can't think of what it's called. excuse me, in June, Hubbardson celebration or craft
One
fair?
that came after the 250th.
Yeah, it's just a
Right.
Hubbardston Fair.
The Hubbardson Fair? Okay.
I think that's all it is, yeah.
Okay, so she did submit a request for that for June 11th through the 13th. Again, we've gone through this before. I see no conflict. She's the first one to ask for those dates, so she'll get those dates. And she is, obviously Hubbardston Celebration is a town committee, so there's no need for the waiver for the insurance and things like that.
And do we just make sure that, I have no idea when the different season starts, but we'll just let baseball or soccer or any of them know that that weekend is not going to work?
That's correct. So what we do is we let them know that that weekend's already been used. So soccer really is the one more involved, but we do let both of them know because soccer uses those fields. But and they're very good about working their schedules around that. She also submitted an application for the Lions Club Field Day to reserve the field for those days too. And I want to say, I wasn't able to get my printer to print it off. My printer was acting up today, but I want to say it was like September 19th, the weekend of the 19th. I don't think Joyce has submitted. Yeah, I don't know. I think they moved it though. They moved it to the middle of the month.
Yeah, it's going to be the 18th.
The 18th? Yeah, so I think she did like the setting up Friday night, then the 18th, and then a rain date of the 19th. So I think it's for that whole weekend.
Yep.
So, and that again is never an issue, Joyce knows to submit the insurance waiver. And I'll be honest, Joyce may have actually submitted it, but she usually puts it in the box, and I haven't been into the town in a couple of weeks now, so I don't know if she put it in the box, but Katie did send it electronically. So does anyone have any questions or concerns about that? These are annual field requests.
Nope.
All right. So going forward from there, let's talk about the playground. If we could really maybe get this up and running, I'd love that. I have to meet with Ryan, and he's been away for the last 2 weeks on military, his 2-week military training thing. So he's been out of contact for a couple of weeks. But I do have to meet with him because we have to decide whether we have to put this out for a bid or if we can just work off the state list. So last year when we kind of finished up our thinking, we really liked the Udiplay design. And I know I think that our last meeting, we talked about that. I just want to see if anyone had any questions, if they think we should go through and meet with other vendors again. We did have 3 vendors that we had worked with. Dave and I met with Miracle, Cindy, I don't remember her last name.
Yeah.
But we do have that design that was all sent to us. And then I had met with Landscape Structures, and we had that information. And then Ryan and I met with Joe McMahon, and he is from Udiplay Parks and Playgrounds. And I feel like I'm hashing this because we really discussed all this pre-COVID. I really thought he captured more of our idea of really what we wanted. I know we've all looked at that playground that he put up together for us. I was also very happy. He keeps me, I'm on their email list. So I get updates on email all the time of new playgrounds that they've built, because one of my thoughts was I'd like to go see one of his playgrounds. I haven't seen one, but they just built like 3 brand new playgrounds in the last 6 months. So it was nice to see that. One was in Vermont, one was in Connecticut. I think one was in Rhode Island, to be honest. So at least, I was able to say, oh, other people are using him. 3 other towns were using him. So if you feel we need to go actually physically look at one of his playgrounds, I can ask him if he can give me the location of a local playground that they have done, because I know they have local ones somewhere. But the other 2 comparisons we have is Miracle with Cindy, built the playground at the school. So we have that to look right at, hands-on. And then Landscape Structures obviously is the playground that currently exists in our park, which obviously has lasted for a long time. So I guess we should discuss whether we feel we need to go see one of his playgrounds. And if we do, I will write to him, and I don't mind going out and taking a look at what he has, but my thoughts are they're all in competition. I mean, they're all, I think, doing the same thing. So, but I just didn't know if someone wanted to do a comparison.
I mean, I don't know that it's necessary, and we may not get an opportunity to see it. Everything's going to be covered in white for a while, it seems. So we may not be able to actually see it in its best form until probably mid-March at this point. And I agree with you. I think
Okay.
he just did a nice job of encompassing what we wanted. Everything we told him, he captured in his proposal, and I don't know, the other two vendors really didn't seem to do that. So to me, that's just an indication of the kind of service we're going to get from him as opposed to the others.
Yeah, I personally think it's more about service at this point than actual structures. I mean, I think a lot of them have similar things that they have. It's just more about whether they'll put them the way we want them and work with us in the process. And I also think, how quickly they can do it is also probably a big piece of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I don't have anything to add.
Okay. So
Great.
you think it's not necessary to actually see them, but who we feel most comfortable working with?
Right.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. So the playground, as we have it designed right now, I think does need to be tweaked a little bit. We obviously have to move the rubberized area because we're moving the handicap entrance or the ADA compliant entrance. We're going to put it on the back side. So I think how he has the rubberized path kind of needs to be shifted around a little bit. I think if you guys didn't mind looking at this and deciding if we want to tweak it a little bit other than the path, move it a little bit, put something else in there, remove something. I think we should, at our next meeting, maybe if we could meet in 2 weeks, just say, this is what we want. This is what we'll be going forward with. And I will let you know from Ryan whether we can just go directly with Udaplay because they are on the state bid list. So they're all cleared by the state to everything they need to do properly. Or if we have to put it out for bid, but at least at this way, we will have a complete best of our ability design.
The only thing I noticed, and I don't know if it's a big deal or not, but I thought we did a pretty good job of installing that table. Maybe we asked that they leave the table so that no matter how he tweaks it, that he kind of incorporates the fact that table is there. We paid a decent amount of money for it. We put it in, appears to be correctly, and it gets use. All in the nice weather, there were always parents sitting at it. So I wouldn't want to see that go away. So if in his next drawing, I would just ask him to make note of the fact that that's there.
Yeah, I would agree. And the other thing I think we do need to discuss is I did send you all the updated, he gave me the updated 2021 pricing. So I have a thread of emails with him that's like 20 emails long, and I've kept them all. So when you take this increase in the pricing, it only increased by like $3,500 over last year. And then you take the email, and I think I sent you this email before when we talked last time about the prices for having the mulch and the shipping and the installation of the playground, things like that. We're a little bit over our budget by about $5,000. So, and the other thing that this doesn't take into consideration is having any site work done. Although the DPW is supposed to do the majority of the site work, that's one thing I have to talk to Ryan about. Like, do we contract someone different to do the site work? Is this something DPW can do? I don't know how much site work we need on this playground. Maybe to have it leveled off. I don't know if we need to put drains in there.
Do they come in and tell us that, or is that on us to figure out?
It's on us. The site work is up to us. Although he will recommend people for site work, or we can work with whoever we want. Or the whole thing is, a lot of them says, well, your DPW can do your site work. Well, okay. I think one of the differences, being a small town, we don't have an engineer in our DPW, where I think a lot of towns have a town engineer who could do that. So I guess we just need to decide, or maybe just talk to Ryan or what have you and see what they think needs to be done for site work other than what the DPW is willing to do. I mean, the playground as it currently exists, I know there are pockets where water will sit there for a while, but maybe it's because it hasn't been leveled out forever, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. If when we pull that gravel up, are we gonna find that it's, you know, it's not flat, that there are divots that collect water.
Yep.
Yeah, we might, once we dig it up, we might find that we want to bring in another load of like whatever base material that should go underneath what they're going to put in and have it leveled out. I don't know how precisely the DPW can level that area, you know? And are we're taking up the fence too? Or are we leaving the fence?
No,
We're leaving the fence.
we're leaving the fencing.
So,
I mean, we can consider adding fencing, but that, I mean, we can look at the cost of it and get a price, but then we would have to reduce the playground size
yeah,
to accommodate the cost of the fence. So, I mean, that's something we can consider doing.
no, it's fine. I was just thinking about how easy it's going to be in there to get in there with equipment and what they're going to need to get in there with. You know, I know there's one gate that opens wide. Who did the drain behind the basketball court? Wasn't that a landscaper in town, or was that the?
No, that was Busy Bee when they did all of that.
He did
That's
all of
part
that.
of putting in the basketball court.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if we're, I don't want to overlook the base of the you know what's going to be underneath it, and we're going to put a couple $100,000 of investment on top of it. You'd like it to be, on a ground. So I guess it's up to Travis whether he thinks he can, make that area.
Does the playground people, do they have specs that they can give us to what they want it to look like before they come in?
I can ask that. I know he did make a comment. Let's see.
Because I feel like if we have that, we can go to our DPW and say, can you do this?
Right.
If they come back and say that's beyond what, the scope of what we have for, skill or even equipment or whatever, then, then we know where we're going with it. If they come back and say, yeah, sure, that's no big deal. We do that all the time. Then I think that's a different conversation.
Okay.
Because I feel like that could be a decent amount of money if we have to contract somebody to do
Right.
that work. If we're already over by $5,000 and that's not in our proposal, I think we want to use the resources we have the best we can.
Yeah. So in the email, this is how he wrote to me. He said, the other cost would be close to the same as I've quoted last year. Please know that these costs don't include site prep work such as excavation, if you want to go that route, or timbers if you want to build it up. It also doesn't include the cost for the site prep work for the rubberized surface. We can certainly do all of this work for you, but this could also be done by your town. Or if you have someone local, we would certainly work with them to find out what we need. So some questions you think I should write to him is there, how did you put is there specs? Is that what you're saying? Is there site?
Yeah. Is there something that we can give to our town to ask them if it's something they can do?
Okay.
I don't know how to say it to to our town people, we need it spec'd out, but we don't know what the specs are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's, you know, what kind of base, you know, I mean, and I don't know what it needs, or, you know, I know there's, you know, clay and there's different things that you can put under, but, you know, I don't know what they're looking for under the whatever they're putting down.
That rubberized material.
Rubberized, yeah.
I would think that's going to be, there's probably some specification about what's going to be underneath that.
Okay.
I mean, on the other side of the coin, I'm trying to think back to the playground at the school,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how much prep work there was up there. Like I remember a lot of like you know, putting a lot of cement in and getting stuff, you know, set correctly, but I don't remember what they did for the ground.
For the ground.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it
I don't
already
remember.
paved? It was already
Yeah,
paved?
it was.
Yeah.
I feel like we may have just drilled holes through the pavement. No.
You did.
Well,
yeah.
it was a tennis court. So did they ever remove the bottom, the pavement on the tennis court? They slid it on top.
Right on top.
They did? Okay, yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, they didn't. They had to go through it because they had to
Yes.
cement it in because tar you can't just bolt it to tar like you can with concrete.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think about like how level does it need to be to set structures when you can set the structure in and, you know, up and down. You know what I mean? There, I feel like there's probably some margin of error there, unless we hit a boulder as you're digging down.
Yeah.
Which, who knows?
I think I agree. There's probably a large margin of error. It's probably more about what Sandra said before, like drainage and water buildup, and then really underneath that rubberized material. I think whatever I don't know how that stuff is installed. If it's poured like or you know, if it's put down like pavement or whatever, and they pour it and roll over it or whatever. But underneath that's got to be, I would think, needs to be pretty solid and
Mm-hmm.
compact down, and then what the rest of it was going to be some recycled wood fibers or something, like
Correct.
bark mulch or something. Yeah, so that's not as, you know, wherever the bark, that I'm gonna call it bark mulch, wherever the wood chips or whatever are, it's probably not as important that it's as flat, but it should kind of help water run off and not stand in any puddling in any areas.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think it needs to be compacted or whatever, any special grade of material underneath that, you know, like it does the rubberized stuff.
Well, I'll reach out to Joe and see what he can tell me. Just like, you know, is there any certain specifications for the site work? And then we'll see what he comes back with. I mean, because it is true, other than the rubberized area, there's really nothing wrong with what's currently there, other than we do get standing water from time to time. But maybe that's just because it's just been there for so long and really hasn't been maintained. You know?
I would think that the site prep is probably minimal just because there's an existing playground there. I'm sure he has to put that out there. You know, if you're building a brand new playground at a brand new site, you'd have to do probably a significant amount of site work, but we're replacing it in an existing playground. I gotta think it's minimal.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't think it's a playground that has a lot of issues with it, other than equipment needs to be replaced.
Right.
So, all right. So that is something. So I do feel, well, sorry, I'm backtracking. So right now it comes to about 206,000 without any site work. Okay. 206,000. However, he talks in his email to me about he can get approximately 11% state contract discount, which I'm not sure exactly what that is. So that saves money. And then he went on to say, once we have a finalized plan, he can request an additional discount from Udiplay, which is the actual equipment that he can get in between 5 and 8%. So he says, but he can't request a discount until we actually place an order. So those two discounts could save us at least 10,000, if not 15. But I do think if we can take a look at the price list that he gave us for the equipment and just maybe together decide, you know, if we have to cut something, let's cut this piece of equipment. Do you know what I'm saying? If you don't mind doing a little bit of comparison and looking at what you have, looking at the thing, and he does write on the email that I sent everyone.
When did you send that?
I sent it, Jay requested it again later. Did you go through?
Oh, I didn't look.
Yeah, it
Take a
might have
look.
been like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock.
Okay.
But he gave me new pricings and he listed everything. So that would at least give us an idea to kind of decide if I had to get rid of something to save $10,000, this is what I'd like to see go. Yeah, and he's pretty specific. It looks like it has the name of it and or it says how much it weighs, like that, and then it says how much it costs. So so that would give us all an idea. And I think I'm gonna ask him, you know, like how long does he think it takes to actually get the, you know, like if we could put an order in, I'm gonna say by March 15th, how long it takes to get it back. And I'm sure once he gets the equipment, he must be able, well, I don't know, maybe they probably deliver it. That's a good question. Do they deliver it to us or do they deliver it to him? Because we wanted, you know, I'm sure he's much better at this, at lining things up. Your DPW has said this done within a certain date because we're going to come in on a certain date and all that. Can anyone think of any other questions I should probably send, ask him in an email while I'm communicating with him?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are you able to follow pretty well? Like I said, I'm not going to look at it now, but what he has listed here versus what the actual item is.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you can kind of tell.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if he can confirm the discounts, if he can get a 20% state discount and even if it's just a 5% discount from Uniplay, I mean, that's going to bring us down significantly below 200.
Yeah, well, the state discount was 11%, and it's off
11%.
and I think it's off the equipment only. I don't think it's off the whole project, but I'm not sure.
In our grant is for 200.
Our grant is for 200.
Okay.
So we're close. I mean, you're right. And if we do get a discount, you know, I mean, I always like to leave at least a 10% wiggle room when you're doing any kind of a project. So any other questions? No?
No.
Do you care if we maybe take 2 weeks to meet again in 2 weeks and kind of come up with an idea, and then I'll let you know what his responses were from the email, as well as what Ryan says, whether we can just work with him directly or whether we have to put it out for bid?
Yeah, it works for me.
That makes sense.
So is Monday night a good night? I mean, 2 weeks from tonight? Sound good?
Let me check my calendar. Oh, yeah.
March 1st.
Is that March 1st already?
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. And we'll do our best to finalize it and we'll go with it from there. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Yeah.
March
Sounds
1st
good.
at 7 o'clock?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so we'll meet again then, and hopefully we can finalize this and we can get this. I'd love to have this thing up and running by July 1st at the latest, but
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah,
that'd
that would be
great.
great.
I think parents would be happy about that too.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
Any old or new business anyone wants to talk about?
None
Nope.
for me.
Well, fingers crossed, no one loses power.
Yeah, right.
No one has to drive tomorrow to work, right? And we just maybe work from home. So,
We'll see.
oh, I hope you don't. So it sounds like it's
We
gonna
got a
be,
program where we'll be. We'll see. See what tomorrow brings.
we'll see what tomorrow brings.
I
But
went out like around 4:30, 5 o'clock to grab my trash barrel, and I almost went down.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
he's sick already. Yep.
Yeah, on my way home, I stopped to get Chinese food, and the parking lots were slick. The regular roads were fine, but
oh, where
parking
they-
lots were slick. Yep.
Yeah, so
Well, I went out around 1:30. I thought I'd run to the store and get some bird seed because I was all out of bird seed. And I let the car warm up and I got almost into town and it was already free. It started to rain. It was already freezing on my windshield. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, birds. So I take it down. But John ended up, he picks them up on his way home, which was kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was already freezing on the windshield. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going into Gardner for this. So yeah, well, everyone stay safe. Hopefully Eric will be safe tonight out and about there
yeah.
doing what he does. So,
Yep.
All right. So someone want a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
7:35.